welcome to, as of yet, Unnamed Ugly Stick Fantasy League live podcast for YouTube. I'm official Yahoo Test, and with me I have enough said. Welcome, Jacob.
Good morning. This is the first time recorded in the morning.
I think so. Yeah, we've got to change the schedule.
And I know, like it's weird being able to actually see in my room now. It's bright.
Don't you have lights?
Yeah, I know, but the lighting has to be perfect. I was trying to set the mood when we do these recordings.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just I can actually read the stats. I don't have to make them up this week.
Okay. Well, that should be an improvement. I do like to get a bit of empiricism into the podcast, if that's possible.
Yeah, occasionally we'll try. We'll do the 1 in 5 morning shows where we don't lie and just make up stats.
Okay. I guess we should get started with news.
That Puck University pointed out is I think that Las Vegas Golden Knights are down to their under-8s goaltender at this point. Another injury, another player sitting on the hospital bench, Oscar Dansk. So yeah, now they're 3 goalies down. So I just found that interesting. Yep.
Yeah. So the 3-starer this week is Corey Crawford playing for the Blackhawks. Unfortunately, he was on my opponent's roster this week as well, so I felt the pain pretty acutely. He had back-to-back shutouts, which is always going to help your goal-tending stats. But interestingly, that's not his first back-to-back shutout, which I've got to say is pretty amazing. He's done it quite a few times in his career, so I was quite impressed by that. And
so 979 save percentage for the last week. It's got to not be much fun when you're playing against him.
I think I did end up. I did win some goalie stats. I won wins and total amount of saves, which just goes to show you, even when my goaltenders didn't do particularly well, but even against a back-to-back shutout Crawford, I still managed to scrap 2 goalie stats out of it, and I think that's just because of my 3 goalies. They can really pile up the saves.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, you look at Crawford's stat for the week. You can't really go past giving him the first star. Yeah, 2 shutouts, 979 save percentage, 0.68 goals against. Obviously 2 wins and only 2 goals against. So yeah, he did okay.
Very, very good. Okay, do you want to run us through the next star of the week?
Yeah, so Josh Bailey plays for the Islanders. He, I guess, isn't exactly the most well-known player in the world. Let's bring up his stats. He's over the last 7 days, he scored a bunch of assists, I believe, while it loads. 7 assists.
Yeah, so, it was definitely assists that got him over the week.
Yeah, like 7 assists, 5 of those were on the power play. I saw he got picked up by Rusty's Trombones during the week. Like when you're dishing out numbers like that, Islanders somehow are just producing machines in the assist department. But Josh Bailey, ranked 325th overall in the Yahoo League. So, we got a 10-man league, so you're not really getting down to the 300s. But if you had to pick him up early in the week, definitely would have been a big plus in that assist column.
I noticed also that he's over 6 foot tall, so I guess that's enough of a reason to pick any player in any fantasy league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't we don't have a height column, but maybe next year that's something we should look at is fantasy height.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are kind of saying penalty minutes is a no-goer, so we have to find something, and why not height? It's a great metric.
Yeah, why not height?
It really does.
I mean,
I think
everything. You'll know who wins immediately as soon as it's drafted, but that's okay.
Is that what's that guy? Zdeno Chara? What's his name?
Yeah, Zdeno Chara.
He'd have to be the tallest, right?
Yeah, he's massive. In the 7 foots, I believe.
Yeah, I believe as well. I don't know if it'll actually show his stats here. Anyway, hi, there you go. Height 6'9". He's not in there. He's not in the 7s.
That's still pretty big.
Guess how much he weighs?
It's going to be in pounds, right? So it'll be like 270.
Bit high. Bit high.
What was that? High?
Bit high.
I'm high. Wow, 250?
Yeah, exactly. So 113 kilos for all the non-freedom unit users amongst us.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, and the last star of the week went to my boy. I actually totally blanked on it. Yeah, Martin Jones of the Sharks. So I'm very happy that he's put in a solid performance early on in the season because he was, I believe, he was my second pick in the draft. I did Jamie Benn as my first pick, and then I knew I needed a solid top flight goalie to back up Matt Murray, so I used my pick on Jonesy.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with this. So in the end, the stats weren't that great, but he did win. He did win all of his appearances. So in the end, I guess as far as the team's concerned, that's all they care about. But it did. Obviously, it gave me 5 wins for the week. 3 of them were his, which made me win a stat. So.
Yeah, and when you look at 3 wins and only 4 goals against at a save percentage of 938, that's a pretty solid effort. You know, that's above average. That's not, you wouldn't expect to get that every week. So when it comes along, you definitely enjoy it. It's just the downside that you're playing against a really hot Crawford who managed to get 2 shutouts and really be seeing the puck like a beach ball at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, that's where you feel both of them are going to be feeling this week.
There's one player in that list, that top 25 list, that stands out, and I'm going to butcher his name, Nemetsnikov.
Vladislav. Yeah, Tampa.
He's ranked 27th overall. That's including goaltenders. And I guess the thing is, he's from Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay are absolutely drumming it home. So it shows that playing on a line with these guys that are firing is beneficial to your team. You got to look at that sort of stuff. It's not always the guy scoring that's got the big name scoring the goals. It's who's on the ice next to him, picking up these primary, secondary assists. Getting the they generally see a lot more shots and stuff if you're on a highly offensive line. So, yeah, 326 ranked overall. Now he's 27th at 4 or 5 weeks in to the season.
The only thing you got to be careful of is that obviously, even if they've got center in their name, they're not going to be doing a whole bunch of face-off wins.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be careful. But yeah, definitely helps being on that top line.
Yeah, there's one thing I noticed this week, and if we break down the stats by the last 7 days, pretty much the leader in every statistic. So first overall is Crawford for obvious reasons for last week, but we look at the guy who's the first skater on the list, Provorov. He's ranked 223rd overall, and he's the highest ranked skater for the last 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you click on goals and filter by goals, the guy that's first overall is 20th, Mark Shafley, who I've had in my team before. He's a great guy to have. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you look at those numbers. So all the guys that have 3 goals is a handful of them. There's probably 10-ish. Anthony Mantha ranked 214th. Gord 707th. Connor Brown 525th. Same for assists. If you look at that, Josh Bailey, we talked about before, he was ranked 325th overall. Power play points, same thing. Josh Bailey. Game-winning goals. I think this one is your dude, but 117th overall. Second place is, or equal first, is 220. And it's pretty similar for all the stats. And I guess that's an important note is that's why it's really important to keep on top of things and change up your team pretty frequently because, yeah, the high-ranked guys on average are going to perform better over the long term. But over the short term, it could be anyone. And that's the thing. Like, if you are watching these guys and you see someone hit this hot form, doesn't matter if they're ranked, in the top 10 or if they're ranked 700th overall, they could be, the game changer for that week. So it's really important to, try and keep abreast of this a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I believe Tim and I talked about this in a podcast, but it was mainly looking at the transaction trends and all the market
definitely.
and seeing what other people are looking at. But, just be careful. I noticed, like, this week, for example, there was 2 or 3 Islander players who were all popping up in the playlist. Let me just look at that. Research. Yeah, I mean, top guy, Matthew Basel, Islanders. Third guy, Letty, Islanders. Right? So it's like, well, look at what they're actually doing in those games. Punched in 2 goals and an assist during a 6-4 win. So, I mean, Letty's probably not a good example. He seems to be doing pretty well, actually. But I think Basel, they just kind of had
got 5 assists in one game. So,
exactly.
He's got decent numbers, but 5 of them came in one game.
So you just got to be careful.
I guess that's actually a really good point. The key thing is getting guys while they're becoming hot and then getting rid of them before they step over that ledge. Because if you kind of pull the trigger once they've, if they have a one-off game and you go, all right, I'm picking them up, and they never do anything again.
Let's get him.
Yeah, you have to be smart with these picks as well. And I guess that's sometimes why it's hard, but you have to be a bit ruthless sometimes. And
it's ruthless.
To win a tight match, you might have to take a bit of a risk and pick up a bit of a no-namer. Can we have a look at the league?
Okay, that's a good idea, actually. Didn't actually really talk about that.
So I had a look at, the final standings from last week, and all the games were tight, like within 2, except for one game. And I
didn't notice
thought,
that, actually.
all right, it's like the league
super
is
tight.
And so I went through the stats, and I looked at the range, the highest and the lowest for each category, just for skaters. So we range between 6 and 16 goals, 11 and 24 assists, 4 and 12 power play points, 0 and 4 game-winning goals, 51 and 120 shots, 18 and 161 face-offs, 10 and 62 hits, and 14 and 39 blocks. So I kind of looked at that and I was like, wow, that's like...
That block seems really low.
Like there's like a pretty big range is what I thought. There's nothing that's really tight except game-winning goals, but that's, comes down to 1 or 2 each week kind of thing.
Yeah, it's going to be low anyway.
But it's crazy to think that, there's those big ranges, but the totals of the matchups still finished as, within 2 for 4 of the 5 matches. And I actually started to dig a bit deeper. And if you look at any matchup, pick a random matchup that you want to pick for the week, Ash. Last week.
Brian's best team versus Yahoo Test. That's
cool.
my team.
We'll pick that one. Like, you look at it, you guys finished the 2 teams finished equal on goals. Assists were within 2.
Can we just back up?
Can
we just back up 1 second here? Yep. I just want to point out that actually I was winning the goals category. I got a stat correction let me not even swear about it. Last day of the week, I believe it was. And they minused both a goal and a power play point off Nazim Kadri, one of my picks. So I actually won it, and then, I don't know, obviously they didn't credit in the goal that they thought he got or whatever. So.
Yeah, stat corrections are brutal. They apply on at 4:00 Perth time on Monday.
Yeah.
And so you think you win it, but they can change the whole week for you.
Yeah, well I checked in the morning and I won. I'm like, great. Check it in the afternoon and suddenly I'm losing.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Anyway, yes, let's continue.
Yeah, so if you kind of look at the stats that you've got, like hits are within 2, blocks are within 5.
I just want to point out as well, isn't 39 the highest value you said before as well?
39 was the highest. A couple of guys got 39. It wasn't, but yeah, 34 would have won you some matches, but it's almost crazy how these teams are matching up. So let's just go back and, for interest's sake, go to Fnuff Said and Siggy Tardust, because it's a blowout. But you actually look at the stats, and you look how close it is. You're 10-9 on goals, so one more goal or two more goals, and that comes to a 10-2. If both those goals are on the power play, then it comes a 9-3. If both those goals are on the power play and they're game winning, that's 8-4. Face-off wins, 6 more face-off wins, or 7 more face-off wins, and it's 7-5. One more hit, and it's 6-all. They all add up, but each of those categories is incredibly close. And it's an 11-1 win one way. So I think that just shows that, there's a bit of luck involved, but this league is ridiculously tight. And I think, the ladder's shaping up one way. I don't think it's going to stay like that. I think by the end of the season, the ladder's going to look pretty different to what it does now.
Yeah, I got to admit, I did actually go in and check your, because I saw you were winning so handily, and I went in and checked, and then I thought, oh, actually, looks could be deceptive. You didn't really win by that much in the end. I mean, you squeaked by with a .91 save percentage. Yeah,
that's right. Like, you look at the goaltender stats, and both are below average. Had I played, the Yahoo official, or if I had to play Brian's best team, or most teams actually, my goaltender wouldn't have won, and it would have changed the stats completely. So I think as long as you stay up with it and you keep checking your team and you stay a little bit on top of the stats that are happening, it's anyone's game any week. And I guess that's really highlighted if you look at the Puck University and the Up the Bufflin matchup for last week. They managed to pick up, Up the Bufflin, big shout out. That's her first ever win. So her first ever matchup win as a fantasy manager. So good on her. And to do it in style, beating the league leader at the time. So, it shows that, Up the Bufflin was sitting second last, I think, knocked off the league leader. So, it's anyone's matchup any week.
Well, I just played the week before that, and I only won 5-4. So
yeah, that's right. It's so tight. And if you look at the stats for Up the Bufflin and Puck University for last week, everything's within a couple. Even shots on goals within 3. Goalie stats are pretty close. Yeah, it just shows that anyone can take this league, and it's good because you don't want to have a week that you go, oh man, easy, I'll just sit back, relax, and coast, because every week is tight. Yeah, let's move on to the fantasy tip of the week. And do you have anything you want to bring up this week?
Well, I want to do what I kind of did a few weeks ago, and it's ask this question. We can just have a discussion about it. But just say you're coming to the end of the week, right? It's Thursday, Friday, whatever, or probably a bit later, even Saturday. And you note maybe it's particularly notice on Sunday that there's not a lot of games played sometimes, so you're not going to get any stats. Would you, first of all, I probably should have researched this, but I wanted to know, can you just move any player onto the injured reserve spot?
No, they have to be injured reserve or day-to-day.
Or out, I guess.
Or out, yeah.
Okay, so they have to have that. They have to have that status.
So basically the injured reserve is an interesting one. If someone gets this, if they get injured in any way, you can put them on the IR plus. But if they have to be on the injured reserve list, officially injured reserve list, to put them on the IR only spot.
Okay. Well, anyway, but I know once you drop a player, there's can you explain there's like a waiver thing, right? That happens.
Yeah. So essentially, the idea is that player becomes up for grabs. So if you look at the league ladder, there's a section there for waiver. scroll down about halfway. It's got standings.
Yep.
And then waiver is second from the right. Yeah, so that's our waiver priority order. And that order is the opposite of the draft order. So when a player gets dropped, they go onto the waiver. And let's say someone drops a really good player and there's a whole bunch of guys that want to pick him up. You can all put in a waiver bid, and whoever puts in the waiver bid with the highest waiver priority will pick up that player. But that waiver priority then resets. So whoever picks him up goes to number 10, and everyone behind that waiver moves forward in the list.
I see.
So basically, if let's say someone dropped, Sidney Crosby, everyone's going to try and put in a waiver claim for him. And if you look at the waiver priority order, Fnuff said will pick up that player. But because they do that, they'll move their waiver priority from number 1 to number 10, and everyone will move forward in the order.
Okay, excellent.
So essentially, it's to make up for having a bad draft pick spot. Means that you've got more chance to pick up a free agent.
And then that's a bit dynamic as well, so you can't just ride that advantage the whole season.
That's right. You get one shot at doing it, and in leagues that are really active. Ours is, if you got say a really big league. Let's go. You got a 30-man league. You got a league for every player in the entire league. That you're going to really deep players. When someone drops someone, that's that waiver wire is really important because that those stats are all going to be really tight. So the waiver wire is important. Generally for bigger leagues, we're not quite big enough to use it to its full extent, but that's what it's there for.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because I was just wondering, when you have these games on Saturday and you can see it's got a very close stat, would you consider dropping a player and then adding someone and then re-adding your guy again if for some reason you felt like, what? So first of all, is there a delay on the buyback? Can you get the player back straight away, say on the Sunday or the Monday if you drop him?
Yeah, so I guess the risk on this is obviously someone else picking up your player before you get a chance to pick them back up.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that I think is important to note is when you add a player, it's always a day ahead.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you're on the ball and you're doing it for tomorrow, which means you have to do it before 4 p.m. Perth time. The other thing you have to know for that is that when you put someone on waivers, there's a 2-day waiver period before they can be picked up again. So essentially that gives everyone 2 days a chance to put in a waiver claim.
Mm-hmm.
If no one puts in a waiver claim, they become a free agent, and free agents can be added for the next day. So essentially there's a 3-day turnaround to drop someone and then pick them back up.
Okay. So you'd probably have to be looking to do it on at least maybe Thursday or Friday, or I guess if they don't have a game Monday or Tuesday, you could wait a bit later, but it's possible. No, that's just risky.
Yeah, that's right. So it's you have to be, if you're looking at dropping someone and picking them back up, you have to be planning ahead. There's actually a really handy tool to do that under research. You got the games by team section. It tells you how many games each team has for the next little while.
Oh yeah.
So if you're looking to pick up a player, there's a whole bunch of teams that have 4 games this week, and then there's a whole bunch of games that have teams that have 2 games this week. So you might look at that and go, oh, rather than picking up someone from the Senators, I'm going to pick up someone from the Maple Leafs because they've got twice as many games, so I've got twice as many chances for stats. So that's one way of doing it. I guess to answer your question, for me, it depends on the player. There's players that I'm definitely willing to sacrifice and players that I'm definitely not. And if there's a player that I know has, let's say they've had a long road trip and now they've got 4 or 5 days off, I'd definitely be willing to sacrifice that player to look at another, to pick someone else up to fill that gap of 4 or 5 days, especially where it's a really tight matchup, or I needed a specific stat. So if I needed hits and there was someone who was just absolutely crushing it, which I noticed, oddly enough, sorry, little tangent, but Charlie McAvoy for the Bruins is a rookie. Man, he has been hitting anything that moves. So anyway, that's just a tangent. But if you need something specific, or if you need to pick up a player just to fill a void like that, plan it out. But yeah, it's something that's definitely doable and definitely advisable if you're on top of it.
Okay, interesting. I was just thinking about it this week, and I figured you'd be able to explain it quicker than me trying to research all the logistics. But I did know that there was a bit of a waiver delay, but I didn't understand that was for the bids. That makes a lot more sense. I always wonder what those waiver numbers meant, and I guess I was so confused because they change.
That's right.
I thought, confused me.
So yeah, waiver's not as I said, it's not huge for us. But if you do at any point want to play in a league that's much bigger, it does become more and more prevalent. I guess especially later in the season when people are scrambling to try and make playoffs, they might start picking up and dropping a bit more risky moves, and that's when you can sort of snare a deal.
It's true, actually.
Especially in a keeper league, it's important.
Yeah, that's right. So at full disclosure, Jacob, are you involved in any other leagues? Are you cheating on the Ugly Stick Fantasy League?
No, I'm not. I have been in the past, but this year I am just in the one league. All my attention going this way. I think I've only ever played in one other league 1 year, and I didn't win either of the leagues I was in. So it's a bit sad.
Okay. All right. I guess that kind of wraps up my question for Fantasy Tip of the Week. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that pretty well covers everything that we look to do. We're probably getting on in time, so it's probably a nice point to wrap it up. What do you reckon?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Well, I guess the important thing, as always, is set your lineups because, looking at the stats for the last few weeks, it's going to come down to, if you leave someone on the bench, that could be the make or break for your week. So set your team every day, go ahead, do your research, and of course, if there's anything you want us to discuss, any tips that you guys want to hear, any topics, hit us up because we're running out of things to talk about.
No, that's not true. But we would like to hear from people.
No, we just want some input from the crowd, I guess. And we're the people's podcast. We wanna talk about the issues. So yeah, feel free, hit us up.
All right, excellent. No worries, Jacob. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week.
All right, take it easy. Catch you later.